Hey YouTube, welcome to Pacific Coast Brewing. This is the first video, hopefully of many. What we're going to do today is we're going to brew a batch of what we call Passionfruit beer. It's not really have any passion fruit or anything in it, and we just try and get that flavour from the Galaxy hops that we use. This is a system that we're going to be using. This is my homemade system. Hopefully a few years down the track we'll get a better brewery. A lot bigger brewery, but anyway, we've got to start somewhere. This is a mash tun, so it's just been wrapped in a little bit of insulation, a bit of foam. We use this as our sparge head, and also for recirculating the hot water through the mash. Inside you'll see the false bottom. It's a false bottom inside there that stops the grain from choking up the outlet when we recirc. We've got the hot liquor tank here, which is currently heating up at the moment. You can see that there's a hot water element in there. Get a shot of the inside, maybe. There's a hot water element that we use, and it's just controlled from that switch on the side. And we check out the temperature gauge on the side of our device there. We're not up to temperature yet, but we're getting close. For the water that we use, because we're on town water, I use a filter, a carbon filter, and that's mainly just to take out the chlorine taste. The water's really good, obviously, because it's fit for human consumption, but we have a lot of the chlorine taste in that in there that we don't like. We like to get rid of, so that carbon filter works pretty well with that. This is our boil kettle. After we finish the mash in the mash tun, it gets transferred across, obviously, into the boil kettle, which we boil in it for a while. We use the magnetic drive pump down here. Can handle the hot water. That was from Keg King. Keg King are really good. They've got a lot of stuff that for home brewers, and they look after you pretty quick freight. It's a pretty good spot. This here I made up. I originally started, when I first started brewing, I had just a counterflow chiller. But it was too hard to clean because it was in a round, it was wrapped around like a coil. So what we've got now is we've got this parallel counterflow chiller, so the beer runs down the inside of these bigger pipes, backwards and forwards, and we connect the cold water on down the bottom, and it's on the outside larger pipe, and it comes up as the beer goes down, so we get a cross thermal effect there to try and cool the beer. It's pretty effective. It just depends on how hot your groundwater is at the time. This time of year, we're in September now here in Australia, and it's groundwater at the moment is around about the 18 degrees. It does get a lot warmer than that. It gets up to around the 25 degrees, which makes it a bit harder to cool your beer, but you just got to work with what you got. So anyway, we're still just trying to get our strike water up to temperature, so we'll come back when it's up to temperature and we start mashing in. So this is the recipe we're going to do today. Passionfruit beer, we call it, only because of the Galaxy hops. So you can pause the video there and have a look at it. Goes over the 2 pages. There it is, so we'll give that a crack, see how we go. So here we are now, just measuring out the grain. We had 4.58 kilos of traditional malt, 1.14 kilos of Munich malt, and 580 grams of wheat. Wheat's mainly just for head retention and mouthfeel. So anyway, we'll get it all measured out, get it in the mash tun, and we'll come back to you with that done. This is how we package up our grain for sale. You can see it's vacuum sealed. We put a label on it.
We sell everything from 25 kilo bags right down to 5 kilo, 2 kilo, 1 kilo, and also 500 gram for your specialty malts, depending on what you need. So what we'll do is we'll put all the details down in the description. We mainly sell off Facebook. You jump onto our Facebook page and you can have a look there. But we do have a website as well. We're just still working on the website at the moment. It's taken a little while just to get it up to speed and how we want it. But I can guarantee that our prices are as competitive as you can get anywhere. Depending on how much grain you buy, freight is included on some. It's usually over the 10 kilo mark. That price that we give you will include freight. So jump on there and have a look and get in touch with us and we'll get you some grain.
So what we're doing here now is we're just recirculating the hot liquor tank just to get a bit more of a consistent hot water going around so we can get a better idea of what the temperature is. As you know, you get thermal levels inside your keg, so we'll just recirculate it and that'll be even all the way around then. So we're just about to mash in now. We've overshot the temperature a little bit, but we've got 3 thermometers going. So what happens there is we take a general consensus. We're after 71.8. The STC is showing 73 and these other ones are showing about 69. So we're sort of happy with that. We're happy that it's pretty close to the 71.8 that we need. So we'll turn the pump off, swap a few hoses and mash in. Now this will be bloody hot, this water, so we just got to be careful as well. Good when they work, these things. That's pretty tight. I know. So, got that one on, that one over there off. Now we want to underlet with 17 and a half litres. So we just go off the scale here. So we want 10, 15, so we want 17 litres, so we'll stop it at about the join in the side glass. So there's 5 litres. Looks like the dough ball's rising there. Look at the guy. So we've got 10 litres in there now. So there we've got 15. 16, 17 and a half. And we shut her off. We'll give it a bit of a stir. Get rid of all the dough balls. We underletted so it doesn't get as many dough balls as you normally would if you were adding the mash to the water. It smells pretty good. So just give it a good stir. Make sure there's definitely no dough balls in there. Want all that grain to get wet. Alright, now what we'll do is we'll put our STC 1000 temperature probe in there, and using the Hermes coil that's inside the hot liquor tank, as you'll see, what we do is we just recirculate the wort from the mash tun in through the Hermes coil, pick up the temperature of the hot liquor tank, and we let the STC 1000 just control the temperature of that. So we'll do that now. And it gets jammed in there, down in the bottom. So did you film that? And then we just let, what we do is plug the pump into the heat side of my STC 1000. This is the same one that I use on my fermenter. Now we set the temperature, and the temperature we need is 64.4 degrees. So we need to set that. I can't see that because of the sun. Don't try and do this, mate. So you'll see that, if you can see it there, our step temperature needs to be 64.4, and we've actually hit it smack on. So what will happen now is this pump will just keep it at that. It'll just keep reading the temperature, and it'll just keep the mash at 64.4 degrees. Righto, so we're going to just start and get our fermenter ready to take the cooled wort. So what we do is we need to sanitize it, obviously. This is what I use. I use the Milton. I figure if it's good enough to sanitize baby bottles, it'll be good enough to sanitize my beer bottles and my fermenter. So this is what we use. They're pretty cheap. They just come in a tablet form. So I think it's 2 tablets per 4 litres, so we usually just make up 4 litres, yeah, so 2 tablets per 4 litres of water. So we'll just go over there to the bucket, put 4 litres in, drop 2 tablets in it, chuck it in the fermenter, give it a good mix around, and it just stays there for the duration of our brew. And then it's all sanitised, ready to go for when we need it. Righto, so we just dropped the 2 tablets in there. You can see we've got the airlock in there as well. So we drop the 2 tablets in. There's 4 litres of water in there. They're just the effervescent tablets, so they'll just dissolve, and they'll stay in there for probably the next 2 hours, I'd say, by the time we finish the mash and do the boil. Good as gold. So as you can see, we've just got the STC 1000 that's just looking after the pump. So temperature probe in there. Obviously it's dropped down a little bit of temperature, so it's just recirculating back through the Hermes coil just to get the temperature of the mash back up a bit. Just give it a bit of a stir on it, and can't stir it too much because it releases too much sediment on the bottom and ends up blocking up my bloody shower head, but otherwise it works pretty well. So time has just gone off. We've finished the mash. So what we'll do now is we'll do what we call a wall off, or basically it's just to clear up the beer before we do start running the first runnings into the kettle. So with the Vorloff, with this, because I batch sparge, I usually just change a few gate valves on the pump, just run it in on the hose just on top, just on the side, which we'll show you in a sec. And once that starts running clear, I just close off the gate valve, put it into the boil kettle, take the first lot of runnings out, and then we'll run the first lot of water back in for the batch sparge. So we'll do that now. Right. So we want to close off the Herms coil, and we want to open off this one, which is just basically an empty hose, so to speak. Take it out of here, run it over to the kettle, and just need to, while I hold this and I'll hold the camera, I'll just get Cody to plug the pump in. Okay, so we're just running that there. What we'll do is we'll actually back off the gate valve a bit so it's not coming out so hard. So we just want it sort of coming out at about that pace, and you can see how when it's against the side of the stainless keg, sorry, you can see how it's a little bit cloudy. That's just the little bits of sediment and all that sort of stuff that's coming through. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to get a mash bed, or a grain bed, to act like a filter. And once we get that, we'll start running it into the boil kettle. Right, so you can see there that it's cleared up quite a bit. So it's sort of running down on the side there. You can see the keg fairly well. So I'll just shut the valve off now and we'll put the first runnings into the boil kettle. Then we'll come back to you when we're dropping the first lot of water in for the batch sparge.
So here we've got the first lot of runnings going into the boil kettle out of the mash tun. So get that in there. We try and keep it running a little bit slow so that it can get through the grains and wash as much of the sugar out as we can get.
Yep. So we've just swapped our gate valves on the bottom. So we've shut off the pump and we've turned on the hot liquor tank again. So we're going to run 5 litres back into the mash and give it a good stir and a bit of a go and see what we can get out. Sometimes it says for a 2-step batch sparge on the recipe, and the first one is always a small one, and then you've got like a larger volume in the second step. But I'm sort of thinking that you're better off if you can cover your mash by splitting it in half. So it's calling for 4.88 litres in the first lot and 15.99 in the second, so it's close enough to 20 litres. So you're better off just going 2 lots of 10, but we'll work that out. We'll try the 5 litres, see how it goes, but we're not going to, if it doesn't cover the mash, we'll definitely go for the 10 and the 10. So we'll do that now. Can't see that from this side. So there we've got 5 litres in there, and it definitely hasn't covered the mash, but we'll give it a stir up, see what we've got in there. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll run another 5 litres in there, just to ensure that it covers the mash then. And I neglected to say that our sparge out water is 75.6, which we've pretty much hit spot on down here on the dial on the side of the keg. So alright, so there's 10 litres, so that's good. That's a better coverage. And what we'll do now is I'll just swap a couple of valves again down the bottom, and we'll just recirc that for a little while. Just give it a bit of a stir, trying to get all those sugars, as many sugars as we can get out of it. I have been going to go to a fly sparge, but I just haven't got around to making another fly sparge arm. The shower head wouldn't be quite good enough, as it tends to blow too much of the grain out, and you wouldn't be able to get a good grain bed settled. So I'll just swap these over again. This one on. That one's off. Just plug the pump back in. So you can see that we've just been recircling the first lot of 10 litres for the batch sparge. So we'll give that a bit of a stir up now. Make sure that we're getting as much of the sugars out of it as we can. Like we said, it does call for a 2-step batch sparge, but the first one being a smaller one than the second one, but I don't know how that works, so we just split her in half, do 2 lots exactly the same. So I'll just grab the other hose now, and we'll shut one valve and do a bit of a wall off to try and get a bit of clarity in the beer. Stick the coating to hold that. So I'm just running now and try and get him running a little bit. You can put a plastic lid or something in too, which is not a bad idea. If you've got an ice cream bucket lid or something like that, you can just sit on top, just run it on top. It's probably actually a better way than running it down the side like this, because running it down the side like this, we don't get a set on the side, and you can see by the time we take this out that this water, even though it's running in there fairly slow, it has dug out the side of the mash. So probably are better off just sort of running it straight back into the guts there. But anyway, whatever works for you. Works for us, so we don't give a shit. Righto, so we just come up to the temperature again for our next lot of sparge water. We forgot about it and turned the friggin' thing off, so we had to come up to temperature. So now it's only been about 2 or 3 minutes, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to go now with 10 more litres, so this will be the second lot of batch sparge. There we go, another 10 litres. We'll start the resoak pump again for a few minutes. Righto, so we're just coming up to the finish of the second batch sparge resurf, so to speak. I don't know what you call it, but it sounds fucking good to me. Anyway, so what we've done is this is the second lot of 10 litres for the batch sparge. We've just been recircling, probably about 5 minutes I suppose at the most. So we're just going to shut that off now, put it into the boil kettle and get boiling. Just do the boil off, make sure that we've got it nice and clear. So we actually had a look at the grain bill, dickhead. We actually had a look at the grain bed before we put that last lot of batch in, and it looked like it was really good with this running in the middle, so we'll just stick to it running in the middle until it runs clear. You can sort of get a rough idea anyway how clear it's running, but hopefully we'll grab all the sugars out of it and it should be a really nice beer. So we just grabbed the refractometer to have a bit of a look to see how our pre-boil gravity went. That sort of gives us an idea of how many sugars that we've converted across. So I just got to stir this wort up to make sure that all the sugars are not sitting on the bottom. Just whack it onto there. Close her up, we'll have a bit of a look. And it looks like we've hit about 1051, if that's right. See that? So if that's right, we've actually overshot what we needed anyway. We've been able to extract more sugars than we thought. It could have been this. This is the first. This is the first brew we've done on this new setup that I've done in Beersmith. So in Beersmith you can set your efficiency and all that sort of stuff, and it pre-calculates what your numbers should be. With mine, I've never had a really good mash efficiency. And this is the first time we've done that recirc on the batch sponge. So whether that's made a difference or not, I'm not sure. But I've set the efficiency to 60%. Now looking at that, it says here that our pre-boil gravity should have been 1039. Well, it looks like we got 1051, so that's quite a bit. Our finish post-boil gravity, so to speak, should be 1048. So we're going to overshoot that by a fair way, but once we boil it all off and that, we'll measure it up again as we cool, and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so now we're just going to fire the burner up, start the boil. What we'll do now, while we're waiting on that to come to the boil, we'll go and grab some hops and grab the hops, weigh out what we need, have them ready to go. Righto, so we're just going to weigh out the hops now, get ready for the boil. We've got, according to the recipe, at the boil, 60 minutes, we need 20 grams, and then with 10 minutes to go on the boil, we need another 10 grams, so we need 20 and a 10. Close. Take a couple of them bastards off. There we go. 20 grams for the first hop addition. And 10 grams for the next. Make sure we tear that. Righto, there we go. 10 grams. Good. Righto, so you can see she's just come to the boil now. Now the problem with this, it's a really good gas burner, but sometimes it can be a little bit hard to control and it tends to want to boil over. But anyway, she's at the boil there now, good rolling boiler. I'll grab the hops. So this is the first 60-minute addition. Put it go in. And there you go. Beautiful. Smells good.
So you can see now that we've cleaned out the mash tun. And she's all ready to go for the next one.
So what we're doing now is basically just a clean up. So we've still got like 50-degree water left in there, and there was roughly about 13 or 14 litres. So what we'll do is run that in the mash tun. We've already cleaned the mash tun. Come out of the mash tun, we'll go through the pump, and actually up through the Herms coil to try and get rid of all that leftover beer in that. Using that hot water, wash the beer out, dump it back out into the drain, and then do one final clean up when we clean up the boil kettle as well. So here we are, we just sort of running out that 15 litres that we dumped into the mash tun. We're just putting it back through the pump, back up through the Nurm's coil, trying to rinse out a bit of that beer. You can see that the water's a little bit off colour. So yeah, give it a let it recirculate for a while and go from there. Righto, so we've got 15 minutes to go in the boil now, and we've got the Whirlflock tablet. We'll drop in, that's just a fining agent. So what happens is it grabs all the stuff that's floating around inside the wort and combines it all together, and when it cools it'll drop it all to the bottom, and that's how you end up with more clarity in your beer and a little bit clearer beer. It also helps if you crash chill after you ferment, but we'll get into that later. She goes. Done. Righto, so we've got 10 minutes to go in the boil now. So we just got the last addition, which is 10 grams of Galaxy again. Put into the boil. Good to go. Righto, so what you can see here was we've got the pump going, and what we're doing is we're actually recirculating the boiling wort back through the counterflow chiller, and what that does is that'll just sanitize the chiller for us, so that when we go to cool, everything's all done, dusted, nothing can live in boiling hot wort.
Timer's going off.
Boil done. So we've got the boils done now. You can hear the timer in the background going off. So the boil's finished. We've been recirculating the hot wort through the counterflow chiller for the last 5-6 minutes. It's well and thoroughly sterilised. So all that's left to do now is go and turn the cold water on and start chilling down. Turn the heat off. So there we go. Flame out. We don't have any flame out hop additions, but yeah, we'll go and hit the cold water. So you can see there now that the temperature's starting to go down on the SDC 1000. We've got it just poked into the boil kettle so that we can get a rough idea how the cooling's going. So what we'll do is, once we get it down to about probably 60 degrees, we'll back that gate valve off a little bit more so it spends longer in the cooler, and we'll go straight into the ferment vessel. So you can see now we're way under 60, well not way under, but we're under 60. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the hose out of the boil kettle and drop it into the fermenter and back the pipe off a little bit. To start with, we just shut it off so we don't lose any. Undo the lid. Drop it in the top. Now this fermenter has been sterilised previously. And we just slowly drop it in. Whoa! Here! So I'm trying to aerate it a little bit now too. Just because the yeast loves the air, a bit of oxygen, dissolved oxygen. So try to get as much in there as possible. Hence the bubbles. Spilled a bit on the side there, bastard. But anyway, it happens. Righto, so we just grabbed the sample out of the fermenter. So you can see we've completed the transfer now, all out of the boil kettle. We ended up with about 20, just under 25 litres, which is nearly spot on what we wanted. So we'll just have a look now. Bit of shit off there. And we're we're at about 10:58. So if you can see that in there. Can you see it? Not really. Our pre-boil was basically 10 points higher than what it should have been, and our post-boil has ended up 10 points higher than it should have been. So all in all, we've hit our numbers perfectly. I would say we just need to adjust the efficiency on Beersmith, and we'll be good as gold. So we'll whack this in the fridge now with the STC 1000, and we'll ferment it at about 19 degrees. The STC will have the fridge plugged into it, so it'll look after that temperature side of things. And we'll pitch the yeast. I think the temperature on the wort is still a little bit too hot at the moment, so we'll put it in the fridge for a while. We'll come out later on and pitch the yeast. Okay, so what we got here, this is what I ferment my beer in. It's just a fridge, obviously, and it's controlled via the STC 1000 over there that has a couple of power points wired to it. One is heat and one is cool, and you can see the fridge is plugged into the cool. We're at pitching temperature now because we're at about 20 degrees, so the middle of the wort's probably not going to be 20 degrees, but it's not going to be 30 either, so you're alright to pitch your yeast anything under sort of 30 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're just using the Safari USO 5, just one packet. So I'll take the lid off and I'll just sprinkle it on the top, and yeah, we'll be right to go. I'll just grab it out to do that. So just make sure you sprinkle it right over the top. Nice even coverage. Try not to take too long because I don't like it being out exposed to the air for too long, because we don't want to get an infection. There we go. She's all pitched there now. Back on, and we'll whack him back in the fridge. No worries. We'll come back in a couple of days and show you it bubbling away, hopefully.